so let's get this party started. This is Rejaku with ACG. Welcome to the Caturday show, bro. How are you?
Hello. Doing well.
Yes.
Still digesting the Christmas food.
Indeed.
which
you
is
ate
quite
a
a
lot of
task
cheese.
on its own. Yeah.
A lot of cheese was eaten.
Oh, dude, it was just one of the 2 blocks of cheese we bought, so there's still a lot of more cheese in my future.
You know, like the biggest question I have is, what kind of storage are you operating with? Because every time I talk to you about food, not only do you have massive amounts of reserves, like you could survive for months without going out.
Pretty much.
You have all the like kitchen contraptions imaginable. You have this like raclette thing to melt cheese. You have rice
2 of them even.
Why would you have 2? What was wrong with the first?
Nothing. We got both gifted to us.
Oh. So how does it work? Because I think you live in a house with your family, right? And it's like a duplex kind of thing?
Well, it's a house with 3 floors.
Yeah.
And so my parents live in the middle floor and I live on the upper floor. So we have one whole floor to ourselves.
Yeah. So do you have like a room for storage?
No, it's spread around.
What the fuck? Where do you keep all this shit?
Because the kitchen is actually very small.
Okay.
Like I don't have any image of it or anything, but imagine it's about being, I would say, that wide on a working area.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So all the machines, etc. I always have to put in storage and take out when I want to use them. So I have a cupboard full of them, basically.
And you have, like, you're keen on cooking, right? Like, 'cause I know you've... Like,
I mean, yeah.
You're
not just eating, but also cooking.
You're cooking, yeah, because it was funny. Tob here in chat, he shared with me a bunch of like stuff, like masterclass cooking stuff, and the super cool. I was looking into that, and then I came to you. Yo, I got a hold of these masterclasses, and you're like, "My dude, bitch, please! I have all of them, right?"
Yep.
So,
indeed.
So where did that come from? Like, at what point did you get into cooking?
I want to say probably when I was living on my own for university.
Yeah.
That's what would have done it. Because before that, always my mother was cooking the family dinners. We all were all eating together. But moving out for university, living on my own in a shared flat with random strangers and the shared kitchen, you have to cook for your own. If you don't want to starve or just eat the cheapest shit around.
But there's levels to it, right? By the way, Tristesse, feel free to do your joke if you want. We'll see if Reg finds it funny. It's a tough room with Reg.
Yeah, it is.
Nitro, what's up? Happy Caturday, bro. And Nor as well. Dude, because I was gonna say there's levels to this, because when you go to university, there's like the bottom, the entry level is your noodles.
Yeah, it was mixed for me. I had plenty of noodles.
Right, yeah. But
for sure.
But for you, at some point, you were like, okay, if we're gonna continue to do this, we need some more.
Yeah, and at some
variety.
point, I started getting, especially into Chinese cooking, like actually getting a wok and steaming the vegetables, etc. But definitely a lot of cheap bread and cheap noodles in the mix as well, because you only have so much money to operate on.
Yeah. Is it unusual for people to live by themselves during university over there? Is it, Reg?
Yes, kind of. It's not unusual if the university is not in your hometown.
Yeah. And for me, that was almost always the case. So for me, it's like the normal. You go there, and there's some kind of student
universities, at least in the smaller towns or smaller cities, they have living quarters right next to the university, like in other nations where you have the campus right there.
Did you do that, or did you?
No.
Oh, okay. So you were living with your family while you were...
No, I was not living with my family. I was just renting or my parents were at that time,
Yeah.
renting a small shared apartment in the
Okay.
city. Was in Salzburg for 4 years.
But were you with your parents at that time?
No.
Okay, so you had an apartment for your like a flat share with friends or
Yep.
something? Yeah, okay.
No, with strangers, not with friends.
Strangers. Okay.
Mhm.
How did that go?
Oh, but with varying degrees of success.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of them was a heavy drug user.
Oh my god. Wait. Are we talking like soft
No,
drugs?
soft drugs.
Okay,
but
okay.
still.
Okay, yeah, but
Like I would get up in the morning to go to university at, let's say, 9 a.m.
yeah.
And already walking out of the room out of my room, you had that sweet scent in the air.
Oh. Oh man.
Or like when I knocked on his door to I don't know, borrow something or give something back, he was like opening the door just ajar while kicking with his foot the door of his cupboard closed because you could see a leaf of a plant looking out.
Yeah. Oh god.
He was growing his own and he had a plant light in there in that cupboard. His full
Jesus.
setup.
Wow. Yeah, I've never been a fan of the whole. I did try weed a couple times. I didn't like how it just like numbed my, you know, like my mind in some way. Like I hated the feeling of not being able to think clearly.
I mean, he was basically high 24/7. He
Dude.
never could hold a job more than a week before he was already out again. Yeah. At one time, I was looking into his room when he let me in, and there was suddenly like a bird. What's it called?
A nest?
Where birds can now where they can get water.
Oh,
Like a board reservoir.
yeah,
You can put in your garden usually. Yeah, one of his drug buddies apparently just stole it from a neighbor and they put it in their room.
Everything is drug related. It's a drug bite.
And they used it as an ashtray, so it was
Of
full
course.
of cigarette butts.
Jesus.
At one time, okay, I'll just continue with that
Yeah.
line because it's such a good time, at least in hindsight. One time, one of his drug buddies, when they were drinking, etc., he managed to flush down his underpants on the toilet, and the toilet got clogged.
Shit.
Yep. Until we got someone to fix that shit, I had to go to the entertainment complex to go to the toilet.
My God, man. That's so surreal. And the bird.
Oh no,
fountain.
to this day, I have no idea how you managed to lose your underpants on the toilet and flush them down.
What was the sequence,
I don't know.
Right?
I have
you're
no idea.
You're there. You're sitting down or something on the toilet. At which point do the underpants like do you get up and then like they fall down next?
No, I never understood.
Incredible. Oh man, dude, the bird fountain being used as an ashtray is the ultimate like symbol of just like how rock bottom everything is.
Pretty much. I mean, I could tell even more stories about that flat.
Did you actually try weed at that point?
Once, yeah.
What?
And I wrote a note to myself to saying never again.
What was it that like put you off about the experience?
Just losing control.
Yes.
Like I don't appreciate that.
I don't appreciate that either. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think that's the kick for some people.
I still remember it vividly though, because at that time the graphics driver on my PC also had a bug. It actually had a bug where you at the corners of the screen you had discoloration, like some texture errors and stuff. But that was perfectly fitting because I thought that was a side effect.
Great. Yeah.
So yeah, I wrote myself a note, never again. One time only. Skip that shit.
Andy, what's going on? Hope you're doing well, man. Was it his dildo? Well, that doesn't sound
What?
like... I don't know how that fits. It's maybe
know.
some other context in the chat that I missed there. But dude, Yeah, I'm with you. I don't like the feeling of losing control, and the same goes for like drinking.
Yeah.
Like I did, you know, go into some drinking shenanigans in university, and I also kind of made a mental note of like, let's not do that again, like drink that much, because like the feeling of, oh, I'm gonna puke, or like, oh, I can't, it's just not for
Yep.
me, man.
Yep.
Oh,
Well, that was
that was quite the the start. So
yeah.
was it at that point that you like realized, hey, I need my own place, like the
Well,
flat
no,
share
I
stuff
stayed I stayed in there for 4 years.
with those people?
Yeah, with that one person, he was
Wow.
there the whole time. And there was a third spot that was changing. There were a few different people in there. One of them was also very special. I guess cheap flats in Salzburg do attract that kind of clientele.
Yeah, you can't be
Um,
picky, I guess.
yeah, and he was finally kicked out in the end because he told the landlord, well, money isn't everything.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
When a landlord kicks you, like your money is good, but he's saying money isn't everything. So
Yeah, exactly.
wow. Okay. That should be a red flag, dude. If
And the two of them, that dude, because he was very alternative, I want to say,
uh-huh.
and my drug buddy, those two didn't blend well at all.
Oh man.
Because he was also into, like, I don't know, he had some movie posters on his door.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know the movies, like Ghost Ship or something like along those lines.
Right.
And the other dude was saying those were demonic posters, and he was writing notes on his wall where he's like trying to get rid of the bad spirits.
Shit, man. That's surreal. That combo. Wow.
Oh yeah.
And you in the middle trying to just get by. Fucking.
Okay. And doing university work. I had a colleague over to work on the project. We were sitting in my room. He was eating some gummy bears. I still remember that. And suddenly the two of them, my other neighbors, were in the kitchen fighting, like actually fighting.
Wow. What a nice backdrop to
yeah,
really
exactly. And my colleague was like,
as a
damn,
student.
I think I gotta stop by more often. This is more entertaining than TV.
Yeah. Jesus.
Yep.
Jeep, what's up? How's it going? Man, that was crazy. Did you do you feel like you got much from those years, like in university and all?
And
all that?
entertainment, yes.
But I mean, like in terms of like getting
otherwise-
value out of
studying itself?
Yeah.
No, I don't.
like
It
when
was
you
an entertaining time,
yeah.
but I don't use any of what I've learned.
So when you started work, because so for people who don't know, you do like IT, right? So you're a developer essentially.
For web developer.
Kind of like me, but on the
specific
website development niche. So for you, when you started there, was that your first job in IT after university?
Well, my current one is my second.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, before that, I was with another company for 2 years almost, and then I switched over to the current one, and that's it.
So when you started those jobs, did you feel that university equipped you well to to do the job, or did you feel like super green?
No, because what I studied was completely unrelated.
Was it
to
software
what I'm working
engineering?
as.
What, like the degree you did?
No. It was like movie creation and planning.
Whoa! Oh, you told me this. You did
Yeah,
like
so like properly lighting a
video
scene,
editing,
how to run a budget, how to
creation.
get the right ads to your product, etc. All that shit.
Wait, so you did even like camera work and stuff?
Yep.
Whoa, dude, I didn't know. So
Cutting special effects in After Effects, doing Avid video editing, and Premiere video editing, lighting out green screens like old school, like manual placing them and setting the proper lights so it's totally even.
Right.
all that stuff.
So
Yep.
that's what you wanted to do, right? So if you think back, like small Reg, right? So little Reg with hopes and dreams, you're doing your degree. Your thought, was it like you wanted to work in like movie productions and stuff?
Yeah, it would have been cool, I guess. But I mean, in the end, it turned out that I just stuck to what I was doing all along, even during school, which was always computer related.
So you started doing it on the side and it popped for you, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's also how I financed my life basically during university. Like I was doing some
side gigs.
web page side gigs that paid fairly well.
Dude, that's interesting. So when you got in, they didn't even require like a specific degree, right, for those jobs. As long as you could get the job done, it's like
that's the nice thing in that segment. You don't really need to show any degrees or.
I think it's almost like being an artist.
Anything really.
Like if you're able to show some kind of portfolio, like, hey, I did you know these.
I mean, I did projects during university, like I said.
Yeah.
And that was basically what I could show.
Dude,
like I did a website to coordinate fire trucks for emergencies somewhere in Bavaria.
Yeah.
And I did for university a project where students could record video shows to then collect later on.
Mm-hmm.
So an online video recorder, basically, which is what we completely got out of the ground.
So did you like lose your sort of interest in all that video stuff, basically, after that point?
Well, interest was more along the 3D modeling stuff, which is something I started as a hobby now and then, but never really stuck to it.
So right now, do you do anything related to that?
No, nothing at all.
Huh. Interesting, dude. I know you do take photographs, right? So you go out on these walks, I think, on the mountains and stuff.
When there's something interesting, for sure, to take the camera with me.
So one of the things, when I started to get into like real cameras, I have like here, for example, this is the lens that came with my G7 Panasonic camera. And you start to look into this stuff. So the lens that comes with is one of these like zoom lenses, right? With, with variable zoom. And one of the things that I started to look into is like, how do they do this thing where the background is like slightly out of focus, right?
Mm-hmm.
They call it bokeh, isn't it?
Yep.
Is that like when you shoot, let's say you were going to shoot like an interview with someone, right? And you have the way you see it on YouTube and stuff, you usually have like 2 or 3 angles, right? So you have let's say the
you never want a static image.
Yeah. So that's one thing that I think about, like how to integrate maybe some of that in even like streams.
Although you can easily also overdo it. Like I've seen enough projects where they're like,
I don't want to overdo it for sure.
Cut.
Yeah.
Come on, just stop it.
But there's
and
usually
also never cuts around the axis. That's one of the most important parts.
Say more about that. What does that mean?
Well, you have to just, if you imagine a circle, and you have a line through it. If the first camera position is like say here, then the other one could be around here somewhere. But you don't want to just suddenly jump to the other side.
Right. So you want to immediately see that the camera is just like.
Yeah, you always want to know
not a completely
where
different.
you're positioned. You don't want a moment where like, wait, which side am I looking at now currently?
Right. Yeah, that can be off-putting. But what's interesting is, so on the blurred background thing, where do you stand? Like, for example, if you look at my background, there's very little blur because it's close.
Yep.
It's very close to me, right? So there isn't like enough, let's say, distance for the focal length to get blurred. Would you, like personally for you, if you were looking at this shot, would you like find it more pleasing if there was more blur, or are you a fan of like backgrounds in focus? Where do you stand?
No, not in focus. I also, for my other background I have for the podcast, I also edited the image to be a little bit
of
out
blur,
of focus.
right? Gives you that separation.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's
You
cool,
want the
man.
separation.
I didn't know you had that whole like dimension to you.
The-
You're like those NPCs that you discover a whole
The worst class was marketing.
because it was boring or because
It was super
useless?
boring and was so much number crunching. Because
Number
marketing is
crunching.
driven, well,
Huh.
it's driven by statistics.
So like what kind of stats would you look at?
For example, in this segment it was mostly about placing ads for TV shows.
Yeah.
So what you want to look at is who watches the TV shows. What do they like to do? What do they buy? They had stats in there like how often do they change their underpants. All shit was in there, like stuff you would never link to anything else.
Yeah.
What kind of level of beer are they drinking? And then you get into, let's get the right partners on board to pay for ads to place there. Because then we can show them, well, for that TV show, we have 80% who drink, let's see, high-class beer. So
Right.
we want a premium beer advertiser in there.
So it sounds like a lot of it is knowing who you're selling to in some way, right?
Yeah,
Like
for
doing
sure.
your homework, like, oh, what are we targeting with this? And make sure that we're hitting all the
And
points.
it was a Saturday class. I also had classes on Saturdays.
Oh, rough.
And the marketing one was, I think, always 4 hours in one go.
Whoa. I never understood that. Who thinks
yeah.
that 4 hours can be a productive class? Like, by the end, it's just
Was pretty bad.
get me out of here.
I mean, the projects were kind of fun, where we got like a company name,
Yeah.
and had to think up of advertisement campaigns for them. The less funny part of that was seeing some of our ideas actually put into production by our teacher without any compensation or anything.
Oh, what the fuck? Like actually
Yeah.
making something
Yeah.
they can sell.
Uh-huh.
Wow, I see how it is.
Basically using us for free work. Yep.
Man, that's nasty.
Yeah.
Do you ever think you might go back to that, like cinematography, video creation, production?
No, don't think so.
Ship has sailed.
Yeah, pretty much. No, the only thing I play around with as a hobby nowadays is more like game production. Like doing some VR stuff in Unity engine or in the Unreal engine.
Do you actually want to create a game at some point?
Would be good, would be nice. That's like a distant dream.
Don't you think, like, I have this fear that when you create a game or when you learn enough to be able to create a game, you see through all the tricks that game devs use. So when you actually play a game, instead of just relaxing and enjoying, you would be like, oh, I know how they did this. They're tricking me.
I know I have some friends who are 3D artists.
Yeah.
Who have exactly that problem with anything animated.
Right?
They're
Yeah.
like, oh, why is this
They're
vertex
analyzing.
inverted or whatever? I don't know, some terms.
Mm-hmm.
Or why did they texture it like that? Or the rigging is totally wrong. Yeah, they're constantly analyzing the work of others instead of just being able to enjoy
You engage a different part of your brain because you're looking at it from the perspective of someone who would make that. And then you're like, how would I make it, you know? Or if it's something you don't know how to make, then you would be like, how did they do it? So, I don't know.
Yep.
Do you ever fear that can be a thing? Like losing some of the enjoyment?
I haven't seen it personally so far with myself. I think
in other stuff that you've learned, like
I can
for
just
example,
unhook well enough for everything that I can just enjoy the stuff for what it is.
That's fair. So for example, when you watch a movie, and because you know all this stuff about cinematography, are you able to just relax as well, or is part of your brain like, oh, here's how they did the shot?
No.
No.
It's basically like leaving work. If I leave the office, I'm out of job. I'm out of the job context.
Okay, that's good. That's good. I think different kinds of people maybe that kind of works fine for some kinds of people. I know that myself, when I look at it, I have that with music sometimes where it's not that it loses the magic. If anything, it has another layer of magic, on it, but it's different. I'm no longer able to just listen to music naively. Like, oh, it's just music. No, I know what's going on. I know that's, your 4-chord progression that every song uses. All that kind of stuff, right?
That was a class I was not very good in.
Music?
Yeah, music. Because we had also stuff like listening to a track of music and making out all the instruments and the layers and really listening to the piece. Yeah, never could get a good amount.
You play as well, right? You have a keyboard in your background.
Well, I don't play.
Okay.
No. I played or was more or less forced to learn the piano as a kid, but I unlearned everything.
Unlearned. Forgot everything. I find that so like unproductive. The stuff that, you see it often, like parents try to like push something down on a kid.
Yep.
And a lot of times it just has the opposite effect of you like walking away from it as soon as you possibly can.
Exactly. I'm like, okay, good. Don't have to do it anymore, so I'm not doing it.
All right.
Done with that.
So when you look at it, like what you do now for work, are you happy with it, or do you have plans on taking it to a different direction?
No plans on changing anything really.
Yeah.
Apart from, well, probably the level of income. When aren't you?
Right, yeah. You want to...
That's always something you want to improve.
But you want to maintain your like work hours, right? You're not someone who wants to go...
Oh, fuck no.
Balls deep.
That was also with my previous work. They changed owners. And the new owner was like, hey, we want you to sign like a new work contract with included overtime. I was like, no. Fuck no. No, just not doing that.
Nope.
And they were like, oh, but it's industry standard. I don't care. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I think that's really important, man. The balance thing for me is critical. Like having my own time is really important.
Like I did to do paid overtime a couple times when work asked me to, but usually I'm exactly the time I have to work and then I'm out.
Yeah, and none of the work you do you carry over to your personal time, right? So you don't have anything like you have a clear separation, like, hey, this is work and this is my personal time.
Also, I mean, even in the home office, I have 2 rooms. Like I'm currently in the podcasting /
actual
streaming
separation
/ home office room, and then the other room is the gaming room.
That must be really helpful, right? Because like going to a physically different place too.
It is. Because also there's no distractions here. Like there's no TV, no anything.
I find that I'm like you. I need that separation between work and like personal. But I think that the people who are basically going to change the world have the opposite take, where it's like their personal project is also their work and is also what they want to do in their free time, right? And so it's like this huge drive they have to do that thing. And there's nothing they would rather do aside from that.
I mean, I still fiddle enough around with my computer and do some scripting and programming on the side as well for my own benefit, but nothing directly work related.
Yeah, I'm glad we have some of those people too. We need all kinds of people, right? People who want to have children. We also need those. Otherwise, the species won't continue. So,
although I mean, I would argue we currently still have too many of those, but yeah.
Yeah, but if we just stopped, then no bueno.
No, but we could rein it in a little bit.
Rein it in. I think there's some data showing, right, that the more developed a country gets, the more that kind of goes down.
Yep. Because you're like, instead, children, I don't know. We have to work and have to
I've always found that
our lives
counterintuitive. I think like myself hypothetically in the Serengeti. Right. No offense to the Serengeti, but it's kind of rough, right? So I would be
probably,
like,
I would imagine so. Yeah.
I would have very little resources or none, right? So to have kids, that would just like more mouths to feed. Pardon, being very blunt. So you would think that people would be less willing to have kids in those places.
I don't know. I think that's usually building your workforce kind of deal. Like you have more kids, so they help out in the household,
Another
they help
hand
out
in
with
the
farming,
farm.
they help out whatever, hunting,
Yeah,
whatever you need.
that's true. I hadn't thought about that. Yeah. Also, I'm probably overthinking it. It's probably more like people are having sex and they're not thinking about protection.
That too.
Education is not great, probably.
Well, also, I mean, I don't know how direct or indirect that link is. A lot of religions, especially Christianity, is always like against protection.
Yeah.
Like if you're having sex, then always without protection and always have every kid. And then it's also no wonder that you have many.
Don't you think that after the first kid, you'd be like, okay, we need to take that protection thing seriously? Like,
Yep.
oh, man. So I like to ask people this, and it's a bit philosophical, but, you know, for me, there is no like meaning of life. It's more like each person has their purpose. You kind of figure out, right, what it is for you that kind of makes you tick, right?
Yep.
What is it that fulfills you? What is it you want to do? So for you, what is it you've found that kind of drives you? Do you have like one or two main things that kind of excite you, fulfill you?
I mean, not really. Gaming, entertainment, having fun.
Would
That's it.
classify yourself as like a hedonist? Like seeking pleasure?
Kind of, yeah. For sure.
Running away from pain.
I'm not looking to rock the world or anything.
Right. No, I'm the same.
I'm not a changer who's like, oh, we need to do something, improve humanity or something.
That's interesting, right? Because some people have that thing, that bone. They're like, yo, I want to create like a new battery that people are gonna use.
For example,
right?
Or I want to solve the energy problem.
Yeah. And it is interesting because I've never had that like ambition, I guess.
Yep.
Of that level. I wonder if it takes...
also the scientific interest in it.
Yes. And I think you have to be like really good at it to start with. So like, let's say...
Well, you have to have the drive to keep at it, to get good at it, to...
But if you suck
to learn
initially, don't you think that like you're just gonna go in a different direction?
No, I don't know. I mean, if your drive is high enough, I think you can overcome whatever limitations you have. So
really, okay. Because I always thought that, you know, it's a bit like playing in the NBA. Although that's an exaggerated example.
Mean, yeah,
like,
okay.
Hey,
if you're not tall enough, you're not tall enough for that.
Yeah, I mean, that's clearly like, you know, super exaggerated, right? But then you take it more to the middle where you have, let's say, intelligence or aptitude. It's also highly genetic, right?
Yep.
Like some of it you're born with, and then a lot of it is how you're brought up and your interests, your drive, and all that. But I find that if you just fucking suck at maths or something required, like you're not gonna, do you know what I mean? You're not gonna.
Well, that's the extreme maybe, but I think some definitely have like have it easy with like say numbers.
Yes.
And have a trivial time in understanding even more complicated concepts. But I think if someone is really interested in that or has a clear goal in mind, then he can put in the time and will put in the time to overcome whatever he's worse at.
Tristesse has a joke for you, Reg. Is it true that children in Austria are extremely well behaved? Because I've heard people say no matter how good you raise your children, Austrian children will always be kinder. As in kinder?
Yes, as in kinder. Yeah. Right. Good.
The moment you have to explain it like that, you kind of kill it, but...
No.
We appreciate it.
I mean, I got it without explanation.
Right. Yeah. All right. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Yeah, that's cool, man. Do you think about, like, the world's problems? Are you ever assailed by, you know, the crisis in the Congo or, you know, people dying
less so
in
that
Africa?
The problems that are happening, but what is very, disheartening to depressing is that we're still at the point where we're discussing if the science is right instead of just talking about what we're going to do about it.
Yeah. I agree. I think one of the big problems of our time is we can't agree on basic facts.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like 99% of scientists agree, but that 1%, well, I mean, they gotta have a point, right?
Yeah, it's almost like it's become cool to oppose the experts because, experts have their own interests in mind. Sure, but there's a scientific method to what they're doing. Right, so it's not a scientist pulling a model out of their ass.
Like just ignoring science because it's inconvenient.
Yeah, so for climate stuff, which admittedly it's really complicated, lots of variables, right? So when you have a model for that, sure, there can be stuff that's off or misleading, but certainly, again, they're following that procedure, the process, right? The scientific process. It's not something that they just
also, I mean, that process is checking and rechecking and verifying and trying to find faults.
Yeah, and there's a lot of gain for someone to come up with let's say, disproving a model. So if there's a model that's there and you come up with a paper that disproves it, it's in your interest to do. Like, people would do that, basically, right? Because that's really good. Status you can claim, and right, so there's a lot of
although I've also seen the issue even within the scientific community, which you would think would welcome like opposing thoughts, that if you're not the mindset of the 99%, then you're having a really hard time, even if you might have find something.
Well, I think there's a part of that that's healthy so that's like the Bayesian thinking. Right, so if you, for people who maybe don't know what that means, that just means like you have a certain, how do you say, like a credibility that you give to a proposition, right? So if we were talking about climate change, let's say that you give that a certain believability or a certain credibility. For you to change that, you need some evidence, right, to push you one way or another. If you're almost like at 100% on board with it, for you to go, a lot back, let's say, or push that down a lot, you would need like really strong evidence.
Exactly.
So I totally understand.
Even if you have some kind of proof, you need really solid proof if it goes against what has been established so far.
Yeah. So if someone comes up with a paper claiming to disprove that proposition, skepticism, I think, is warranted, right? I think that's healthy, but as you say, maybe there's too much of that in the sense that people then aren't taking seriously anything that goes against the grain. So
discarding it too quickly.
Yeah. And we're all people, so we're all like liable to have that kind of stuff happen, biases and all that. But
sure. I mean, usually you have the bias of what I believe is already the right thing. And then it's a question how open you are to alternatives.
Yeah, it's interesting that, when you think back to where philosophy kind of started with like Plato, he had, these conversations, these dialogues, I've never read them myself, but they're very famous, right? So instead of like having an argument laid out, he would have like these written dialogues. And
would probably need Silver in here for the details.
Would need Silver for the philosophy part, but it's interesting that I don't think we ever do that nowadays. So in the philosophy thing, it's always like, here's a formal proof of this, whatever proposition, but you rarely see stuff presented in terms of like a conversation. I guess that's where podcasts come in. They're like the dialogue thing.
I mean, the dialogue thing is something that's that's not very present overall.
Right.
Because if you look at any kind of divisive topic, it's usually two sides screaming at each other. And that's it.
Yeah, you know what I find amazing is that people don't. If it was something that had like a simple solution, all the smart people would agree. because it's in their best interest, right, to figure out the answer to a problem. So your first indication that a problem is complex and doesn't have like a clear-cut answer is that smart people disagree, right? So the knee-jerk
what was
reaction.
the saying? Like, ask three experts and you'll get 5 opinions.
True. Although,
yeah,
didn't we just say that there's also the opposite, where experts are like in total agreement and they tend to reject stuff that goes against
some topics? Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bit of everything, isn't it? But yeah, it does feel like it's a bit difficult nowadays to even have a discussion.
I don't see a lot of discussions. Usually it's a group of people who already agree on something.
Yes.
And they're just talking about how much they agree.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's it's almost not productive, I feel sometimes, to do something where you disagree in a big way with someone. There's going to be so much friction.
Like at least my impression is that it used to be talking about religion is pointless, because I mean you could talk about both sides. You said there is no evidence, so there's nothing, or there's no evidence, so I believe there is something. So it's pointless really discussing about that. But my impression is that everything has become such a kind of religious debate.
Yeah, true. And the moment you make your stance, people are gonna like tag you in some way. Oh, he's a militant atheist.
Like, for example, cyberpunk. Like,
yes,
if you said anything negative about cyberpunk, no matter how founded or not, you're just a hater.
Now. Yeah.
Just stamped and pushed to the side.
How much of an optimist are you for the future? When you look at this situation we're talking about with divisiveness and difficulty agreeing on stuff, do you think it's ultimately gonna go in a positive direction, or is it kind of degenerating?
Degenerating would be my assumption, because I don't see anything in the broad mass of people anyway that points me towards a light. Sure, there's some scientific minds and there's some projects that are working towards, like for example, clean energy.
Right.
And those projects are super impressive and also hopeful towards them.
Yes. Yeah.
But in the grand scheme of things, I think that shit will only happen on a grand scale once it's too late.
Yeah, I'm afraid of that too. Yeah. Especially like the energy situation is one where you kind of need to do stuff in advance, right?
Yep.
Before shit hits the fan. Totally. And I don't know if perhaps we're doing enough. I mean, how do you feel about some of the alternative, energy sources? We can talk about whichever you want, but I guess
I think the last
promising
one I was reading about was a Korean project with the fusion energy that managed to now
cold
last for
fusion?
20 seconds. No, not cold. It was 100 million degrees, so definitely not cold.
Right, so not cold.
I think that the first time they had it in 2018, 17, not sure about that. They managed to last 1.5 seconds to have it running, and now they're up to 20 seconds.
So I hope people in chat are old enough to know that forever they've been saying fusion is 10 years away or X years away. And it's always been 10 years away, right? But I mean, it would be amazing, right? The promise of it.
Yep, it would be. As far as I know, they still have to put more energy in than they're getting out. But I mean, I think it's one of the most promising concepts.
Yeah. Well, the premise is if you can keep it going, right? So once you get the initial reaction, let's say, if you can keep it going in like a chain reaction, then you're set, because over time you're gonna get back what you put in, right? But I think that's the big if, isn't it? It's keeping it.
Yep. Also, I mean, if you look at those machines, they're insanely complex.
Yeah, I can't
begin
even
to understand.
Yeah. Because the way I thought about it is it like a collider, like the Geneva? Sorry, what's the name of the Geneva
the
super collider? Right. The idea being that you're like you're propelling these particles super fast in hopes that they're gonna crash against each other.
Oh, there's our expert. Hello,
Silver. Hello. And produce a new particle, right? Or you're gonna see something different because you're getting those collisions. Is fusion like overall in the same? Do you know if it's the same idea? Like you're trying to collide?
I do not know.
We need to get a physicist in the channel to talk about that. Silver, what's up?
There we go.
But are you like overall a fan of? I don't want to say a fan. That's weird. A fan of nuclear.
A fan of fusion? Yeah.
But not fusion, but like what we have now. So we have like new generations of nuclear plants, right? So they're not fusion.
I'm not a fan of nuclear plants, but that's also a very
they're much better, right? So
thing.
They've come a long way, compared to let's say Chernobyl and stuff. And some of the I think it's Gen 4. They have something where the remainder, so the stuff that normally you would have to store, right?
Mm-hmm.
The excess,
which is a huge problem.
They're able to use that as the input of the reaction now. So you have this almost like, like feedback thing where what you're getting out, most of it you're able to reuse.
That was always a huge problem for me, a problem for me with nuclear power. Like they're always talking about how clean nuclear power is.
Yes.
Sure, if you only run at the exact runtime of the power plant, not at the construction of the whole thing, not about how you're even getting the material for it,
There's
how you have to get rid of the waste.
Yeah.
There's trains that are literally driving around in circles with nuclear waste on them because they have nowhere to store them. There's mountains that are filled up with it.
Pervious is a physicist. Okay, we gotta have you on the channel if you're willing. And Ranch, thank you for the tier 3, my dude. You are my only tier 3 subber. That's incredible. Thank you so much for that generosity, man. Elon can handle the waste. Well, like I say,
well, he can take it up to space, right?
Well, the new gen stuff is really cool, man. Like if you look at it, they really have some good solutions for some of the stuff.
Sorry, a physicist now a private in software development pays more.
Whoa, it does. I bet it does, dude. I would love to chat with you, Pervious, if you like some time, man, about some of that stuff. Yes. Reactors are based on fission. So I don't want to get too deep into that.
We just started off so with fusion reactors and the current experiments.
Yeah.
And then we drifted off to the current fission.
But anyways,
reactors.
there's some promising stuff even in the fission to work around some of that nastiness. I think the way I think about it is it's a nice solution, nuclear, to get us to a place where we're like greener, let's say. But I don't view it as the end game in terms of energy. At least I don't think it's ideal as an end game, unless we can have something like fusion, which would be fantastic, but hasn't happened.
Yeah.
I mean, stuff like solar and wind is good, right? So we should say that stuff works. I think the big thing for us is getting better batteries as well. Because a lot of times there's a lot of waste that goes on with
for sure.
how you get the energy and how much of it you're able to store.
It's also something with electric cars. Like, cool, you can charge them, but how fast does the battery just lose its charge without anything?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Pervious, I gotta talk to you, man, sometime. That's interesting. But anyways, so from that... let's quickly talk about another like technological thing, because I know you're into like sci-fi and also technology and stuff. What do you think about going to Mars? Because Elon Musk
well, I'm not
is now
promising,
right? Elon Musk is now he's saying, hey, we're gonna have something in the next few years in Mars, right?
Right.
First of all, do you do you find the prospect of going to Mars promising? Like, are we gonna get value out of going to Mars?
I think, yeah. I'm all for all kinds of space exploration, even if it's like a basis on the moon or whatever.
What is the value outside of, monetizing trips and stuff? Let's say we were able to get to Mars, right? Is it like colonizing it so that we can get people?
If you can get sustainability up there, like set up an ecosystem, which I think is still a problem, like keeping it running, then definitely like colonizing, finding some new space for people.
I have to say, I'm super skeptical about the feasibility of that project, dude. It's super cool. I want to see it done for sure. But like Mars doesn't have a magnetic field, does it? So it will never be like actually, it will always suck. Is what I'm trying to say. But there are some solutions. They want to create like, they want to do greenhouse gas emissions, right? To create some kind of, like to raise the overall temperatures and all that stuff. And we know there's frozen water, but it doesn't seem like it's ever going to be like a peachy place to.
Well, certainly not in our lifetime.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it's pretty cool. I mean, I would never be, how do you say, like a pioneer, one of the first people going over. Would you?
I would not.
No. Terrible.
I'm not like Carrick, who was like, oh yeah, I'm taking the first rocket like over to Mars. No.
You would get bored so quickly. Like after the first 2 times going out and like jumping around, you'd be, oh, okay. Now you're there
forever.
Terrible
internet, exactly.
Terrible internet. Terrible ping.
Terrible ping.
No Netflix.
Nope. There are no online playing. It's less than if you were in Australia.
Especially if you came over as a janitor. Oh yeah, dude. Who would take that?
Mars janitor. Nice.
Yeah. The
Lots
hero
of dust to clean
everybody
up.
needs. Yeah, man. I guess I don't see it. But let's see what happens. There's so much to even get the robots to do stuff over there.
Yeah.
You would need like automated robots because you won't send people in the first, right? First, you're sending stuff and robots. Yeah. You need like smart robots that can take boxes, take them somewhere else, build shit with it, and get something going.
Somehow I doubt Elon will clean his own toilet. Yeah.
Well, Elon is not going, dude. He's going when it's set up. He's doing the projects from here.
Exactly. He's waiting till the base is running.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's cool. And I'm all for private enterprise getting into that. You see Jeff Bezos with his big Amazon bucks.
Exactly.
Getting into the moon.
Use your money on something.
Yeah, I think he's looking into creating like a passenger, how do you call it? Like almost like tourism, moon tourism.
Then again, if I if I think about how Mars then would basically start off as a privatized colony,
yeah,
that has its own set of major problems.
Yeah. I think what I find the coolest when it comes to like space exploration is the idea of von Neumann probes, and the book you recommended me that book.
Oh yeah.
The Bobbyverse.
Which I still haven't. Yeah. We are Bob.
We Are Bob. Great book, by the way. If people in chat, if you can pick up the audiobook, it's actually excellent. The Audible of it. So I think it's 3 books I've read.
By now it's 3. I've still not done the last one.
I think I've done the last one, but I'm not 100%. But those are great books. And the idea of it is you have these small probes, and they're able to mine material from, like an asteroid or something. With that material, they can print, like 3D print a replica of themselves. And, they have like some AI in them as well that also replicates. So that, get 1, 2, and that goes exponential, as you can imagine, right? So the idea is you would have all these probes populating all over the place. That would be, I think that would be really cool. Is there anything stopping us? Why are we not doing that right now? What's going on?
I don't know if that's a thing we can
3D print.
We can achieve currently.
We have some basic AI to do that, to like mine shit, print with shit. Can we not?
Yeah, but
I think we can figure it out. Nobody's talking about doing that.
But can we actually?
I think we
quality.
Dude, I think we could do it. No?
I don't know.
Why is nobody dude, get Elon. Get your people on that problem. Figure it out.
Oh my god, can you imagine an army of self-replicating Elon's?
Oh. They got his face. They got like a
just flaming on Twitter 24/7.
Yeah. Oh shit. Each probe is sending Elon tweets. Like random variants of tweets. Oh man. That would be amazing. Yep. The other thing that's also theoretical but theoretically possible is the idea of like harvesting the energy of the sun directly with like small, you can call them probes, but they would be like nodes in a network around the fucking sun.
What's that thing called?
It's a Dyson sphere.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And I mean, that's obviously ambitious as fuck. And actually, that seems a bit more sci-fi to me than the Von Neumann stuff.
It takes a tiny amount of material. No problem.
Because you would need to physically place something literally like close to the surface of the sun, right? And it would be like a mesh around the whole thing. That strikes me as impossible. Unless we have robots that can, do that.
Well, and somewhere to get all that material from.
And you would need to get that close to the sun, too. Even a robot would just, like, get fucked that close to the sun. Anyways,
especially
I think
if you have some solar expulsions going on as well.
Yeah, I think that's an impossible project, but there were... there were pictures taken of like distant stars, and because the star was dimmed in the picture, they said, yo, is it a Dyson sphere causing the dimming? Right. My dude, I think it's a bit far-fetched. I would love it. It would make for a great book. Whoever wrote the Bobbyverse, get on that shit, right?
Well, I mean, they had a Dyson sphere in that one.
Wait, did they? I forgot already.
Yeah, they
shit.
had.
Okay. Yeah, it was cool because in
not
that
one
book,
they created themselves, but
I think they came across
tops.
One. Yeah, it's interesting in that book because they have each Bob has a personality.
Like the copy, even in that fiction, the copy isn't 100%.
It's not, yeah, and that's part of what makes it a good book is that each Bob has a personality. I think that what's missing there is that the power of AI is being able to take a problem and iterate on it endlessly with infinite resources, basically, and then come back with an unintuitive solution. None of that is in the book, really. It's almost like they're people.
Yes.
It's very much like
people
as if
that
it was
are not
one
constrained
person,
by life expectancy.
Basically.
So
I would like to see them extend to actual like AI stuff, but
I mean, you do sometimes have like snippets in there of how long the thought process takes. It's of course sped up.
Yeah.
Like they have whole segments, and it's like, oh well, that took me 1 millisecond of processing time.
Yeah, exactly. That beard looks good on you, Reg, says Silver and Pervious. Yeah, good stuff.
Thank you.
Good stuff. Doesn't it get itchy? Because I see you got the neck stuff. I always trim my neck.
Yeah. No, this is all natural.
All natty. All natty. Very good.
The only one I trimmed was like the lip, around the lips, because I don't like that shit.
Do you mean like under lip?
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, fuck under lip. Have you ever done like just mustache? Just like
No.
No,
I have not.
I've never done it either. I've thought about trying like what do you call it when you have the mustache plus the
goatee.
The goatee. So you have like a unit around your mouth. I gotta try that someday. Never. What do you call it? The bars. The handlebars.
Mm-hmm.
Never. You'd never go handlebars. Okay.
Oh.
Okay, good, dude. We've gone everywhere with the conversation. Does anyone have any final questions for Reg? And Reg, what would you like to see in the future before you die? So you think up to like old Reg, right? Like, oh, Reg, like shaking your fist at the clouds, Reg. What is something you would like to see in your lifetime in the world, whether it's like tech, or something happening? Is there something?
Advanced artificial body parts.
Like a full-on replacement for
like a
arms and
full-on
shit?
eye replacement, for example.
Eye replacement. Yeah.
Like get rid of people going blind.
Yeah, dude. Impervious. Yes, it's just Rejaku. I'll post it on Twitch. I think Rejaku is currently
Twitch is not helping all that much.
currently not streaming, but you can find him on the ACG Discord streaming sometimes. And you can also find him on Twitter. But yeah,
everywhere.
It's just Rejaku everywhere. Why is Reg not streaming? Good
why
question.
Not streaming,
Why, Reg? Why?
Why? Well, I started learning Japanese.
Yeah.
And that eats a lot of time. And as I still want to actually continue playing games just for leisure, there's only so much time I'm willing to invest in stuff. So it was basically learning Japanese or continue streaming, not both at once.
So you found that the times you were playing something on stream, you weren't just like enjoying the game.
It's not the same.
Yeah. Gomenasai. Boku no go wakanai. I don't know. Something Apervious said in Japanese. That's interesting, actually, because on the podcast, you've been there since like the very start.
Very first one.
Yeah.
Like server.
Yeah. OG. So
the
like
OG crew.
For you, when you're shooting a podcast, I guess like when you're doing a podcast, right? Are you thinking about the content we're creating? Like, are you focused on, hey, let's make this the most like consumable and enjoyable piece of content? Or are you more just like, hey, I'm just having a conversation with my pals?
Definitely the latter.
Okay. That's really interesting because actually the other day I was talking about this and I realized obviously I want to have a good conversation, right, with you guys, but I have the approach of like a content creator, I guess. I'm almost like, is this going to add value to the podcast? Right. Or you know what I mean? I have that mentality. So
we're just freestyle. That's why we're also always going off the rails. Well,
it is freestyle. Like, and nothing today I had planned for what we're saying. I didn't know we were going to talk about fucking, like fusion. Weed in someone's apartment, like I didn't
Weed and fusion, exactly.
Yeah, weed and fusion in the same conversation. Nicholas, dude, no, you, as they say, you're breathtaking.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's why sometimes I'm very hesitant when it comes to like jumping in. I feel like Carrick has his like momentum. He's someone who can just talk for hours, right? By himself. Like he has this way of threading topics. So the ending of one is the starting of the next, right? He does this thing, and in reviews he does it as well, where like maybe the final words already prompt another topic, right? Or another conversation. And a lot of the times I find that if you cut him in the middle of that, you like stop his train, his thought train, his process. He's like stopped in his tracks.
Like what?
Which is what we see sometimes when someone accidentally interrupts, like me, myself, or Silver, or you. If we say something out of turn, and you almost see him like stop in his tracks and have to reboot.
Well, I mean, the last couple times at least here clearly has, has said like no, let me finish.
Yeah, and he's good being honest. Like, hey, no, let me finish. But I think I don't know if that approach makes it better or worse. The approach that I have of like always thinking about the end product. You know what I mean? I sometimes think about the balance of just focusing on the conversation itself versus focusing on the end product as from like a consumer standpoint.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not much sense into blindly doing anything.
Right.
Like even if you're having a good time, if that's your goal, then sure, cool.
Yeah.
And if you have the mindset, if people want to watch that while I'm having a good time, then they can. Then that's, I think, a different mindset than if you're like running after the numbers.
Yeah, exactly. Michelle, what's up? So let me give you just a clear example. Maybe I can explain the difference between the two like mindsets. If I was just talking with you without anyone else listening, if I say something that's maybe like really IT specific, you know, you and I may have the context. So I can just say, right, oh, whatever. I can throw in a term. You know what it is. But if I, you know, if we're here and we're doing this show, I can still talk about that, but I would give context, right? I would say, hey, for people in chat, this is what it means. And I find myself doing that in the podcast too. When someone throws, and I find myself trying to cover for other people too instinctively. So if Silver comes in with some erudite reference that maybe like two people in chat gets, I try to play the person in chat that's totally lost and doesn't have the context. And, you know, I try to say, hey, you know, for those of us who didn't read fucking Aristotle, can you break it down? So, but I find that overall it works, like the combination of everybody in there. Is there something you think we should do better in the podcast from your perspective?
Well, something I always appreciated from other podcasts, at least, is stuff like having the current subject like in the bottom of the screen.
But then
touches like that. But then you would have to be more organized instead of freestyle. Yeah.
I find that not knowing what we're gonna talk about is part of the.
Yeah.
I would engage topics differently if I already knew about the topic, because I would think in advance.
That's definitely something I always appreciated from more structured ones.
You would actually like a more structured, like, hey, here's what we're gonna talk about?
Well, when I'm watching one, yes.
Okay. Interesting. Because I think a lot of people like just that it's a conversation happening. It's not really like topics. They just want to listen to a conversation, right? I think a lot of people listen like that.
Well, the ones I'm thinking about, like I'm not sure what it's called exactly. The Linus one.
Yes.
He does a podcast.
The Wham show.
Yeah. They have their topics they want to hit, but within that topics, it's still pretty freeform.
What I find, for example, if we were to do that, and we go into a tangent in the middle, all of a sudden the topic shows cyberpunk, and we're talking about fucking robots or like.
It could show tangent in the middle.
Tangent. I don't know, man. I get what you're saying, you know, but I think it's a different kind of content. If I go into like a news show,
well, it's the YouTube style of content.
Yes, yeah. If I'm listening to a news show on YouTube, I want to be able to skip the fucking.
Exactly.
You know, I go to Gamers Nexus.
Like,
and he's got news.
please use it. Well, he does it perfectly, I think.
Yes.
It can't really do it much better. Like with the time bar of how long the topic's still gonna last.
It's perfect.
With the chapter marks down there where you can jump exactly
where you want to go. If you're not interested in the Intel overclocking, skip it. It's great.
Yeah.
But for something like this,
uses all the features.
Yeah, but like in a conversation like today, it's not the kind of content that people consume by going to the part where we talked about weed. You know what I mean? It's not that kind of content.
The timestamp list. When exactly did they talk about fusion?
Yeah, well, right. I get it, but I don't think it adds much to have that level of
Right.
structure to something like this.
Well,
I
I
think
think
it's
that the mindset is also because I don't really watch much on Twitch. If I watch
Right.
something, it is YouTube content. So it
That's
is
fair.
that kind of structured content.
I think that if I'm cooking and I'm listening to something, this is the kind of content I prefer. Just like a nice flow, where it's just going. I know there's gonna be 1 hour, 2 hours of conversation, whatever it is, and it's just there to keep me company, you know. But yeah, I think those are like different products in the shelf. You know, you have your neat Gamers Nexus package, and then you have your messy, you know, ACG or Johnny Plays Live package.
Yeah.
All right.
Very messy.
Let's see here. Any final questions for Reg before we let him go? Anything you wanted to touch on, dude? Or anything you've been thinking about lately that's been like keeping you from sleep?
Keeping you awake? No.
Yeah. No, nothing.
No, apart from the bad hardware availability for everything.
Do you actually want to buy something, or is it just like in general?
Dude, I've been looking at the current AMD CPU so often now.
Which one are you trying to grab?
Come on.
Just the biggest.
Yeah, exactly.
You want the biggest, all the cores.
All right, come on.
Come on. Give me, let's see, let's go down the list. What's the biggest model? That one. A Johnny Reg karaoke segment before the end. Didn't they, wait, didn't
No,
they?
it's still going. It's still going.
Really?
Well, it's on the first. It's over. But Twitch things is still a thing currently.
Yeah, but we can still get into trouble, can't we?
That I don't know how the licensing works out for that.
Oh God.
No
Recommendations for games to play right now.
Right now.
A ton.
Persona.
Reg, what are you playing? I know you've been doing, what's that?
Always Persona 5.
Phoenix. Did
Phoenix,
you finish
yeah.
Yakuza?
No, I did not. Did not yet continue to it. Return to it, sorry.
You going back to that?
Oh, for sure. Super good game.
Do you recommend that overall, or is it more like, hey, only if you like Yakuza?
No, I think I would recommend it over all the other Yakuzas I've tried. Like before that, Yakuza 0 was my favorite, but this has now taken over the favorite spot.
Okay.
Because I actually like the turn-based combat. I have the feeling that I have a much better grasp on it than the real-time combat of the previous titles.
Huh.
As such, it becomes more enjoyable to me.
Yeah, I mean, that makes perfect sense. All right. So I think we can leave it there. I mean, unless you want to do karaoke. Do you actually want to? That really caught me off guard. I had the Oxalane. Wow, it really caught me. That's a bit old time for you to know we even did those, because it's been a while since we've done.
Yes, Michelle is like immediately on board.
Holy shit! I think well, this is definitely the last chance for us to do, because it's
Twitch things will be gone.
It will be discontinued.
January 1st, it's over.
Yes.
True that.
I mean, we could do some classics. We do have our list of classics, don't we? We have some Lion King
all the
there.
Disney songs.
All the Disney stuff.
All the Disney stuff.
I do not know this karaoke thing. Oh, we've done karaoke, baby. How many? Dude, we've done a few.
We did. I mean, the last one's a good while.
It has been a while
by now.
Yeah, that's true.
And I mean, it's probably will be over forever. Because
it probably
in the future,
will be.
Everything will be claimed.
We can still do them in Discord and stuff, for sure.
True, but
on Twitch it will be over. Y'all's karaoke was good. Your NSYNC. Wow.
What? You're in sync?
NSYNC.
Nice. Yes, that's the kind of dead level joke here.
Yeah. Do you actually want to try?
Dude, I've already started it.
Dude, I've already. Oh my god. Okay. Well, give me 5 minutes because I need
All right.
to open it up, probably update it, and also like grab a coffee. I was not
Right.
ready in any way, shape,
No,
or form.
no, for sure not. That is a very unexpected turn.
But let's do it, man.
right.
For a while at least. I don't know. We'll see. Okay. I will get a few things
Till
ready.
everyone has left.
Yes.
Because they're holding their bleeding ears.
Okay, so I'll get a few things ready and we'll be back in 5 minutes or so with some surprise karaoke for your ear holes.
Get them ready.
Get them ready.